Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. My name is Lewis Evans. I'm a senior product marketing manager at Arctic Wolf, and I'm excited to talk today about fulfilling the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. And I think that this is a really important and useful topic, and I'll talk about it for a second before I get to that. I get to that agenda that I hinted at on the next slide there. I think this is an important and useful topic because we're increasingly seeing that NIST's publications about cybersecurity are serving as a cross-industry standard for how to think about, how to understand the wide range of security activities. You know, we see that the security capabilities that are available in the market are continuously expanding. We see that attacks and exploits are always getting more complicated. They're always getting more sophisticated. They're always getting more, diverse and varied. And so, having this shared framework of understanding of cybersecurity can really help us in our practice in identifying, what do we need to accomplish? What are key priorities for our organization? What are the whole set of things that we might want to accomplish? And how can we prioritize within that with different effective solutions? And so in my presentation right now, I'm going to start by talking through what are the NIST 5 functions. What are the 5 functions NIST uses to divide up and to segment and to categorize and understand cybersecurity? Next, I'm going to talk about our security capabilities at Arctic Wolf as mapped to those functions. And that's going to provide some perspective on the really comprehensive offerings that you have through Arctic Wolf and how they're able to address, sort of end-to-end cybersecurity concerns and priorities. And then, we'll get into how Arctic Wolf makes these capabilities available, right? We have a couple offerings. We have some high-level offerings that deliver all of these different outcomes, and how are we able to do that? And that's through the Security Operations Cloud and the Security Operations Workflow. And I'll conclude with some notes on the idea of security as a journey and an ongoing process, that we're looking to not just, identify a technical solution to a specific problem in our environment, but instead we're looking to constantly understand and enhance and hone our security to protect our organizations. And so with that, let's dive right in. So the NIST Security Operations Framework, often called the 5 functions, divides all cybersecurity activity into 5 types of activities. The first is the 5 are simply identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And the way that these are organized is it's sort of about looking at time slices or process slices in the life cycle of a cybersecurity incident. So identifying is, and as with all sort of comprehensive frameworks looking at an incident, most of this takes place before or after the incident itself occurs. So the first function there is identify. And you need, what organizations are looking for to identify, they need an accurate picture of their threat posture and exposures across all attack surfaces. The objective with identify is to understand one's own risks and one's own cyber risks in a way that will make it possible to do effective cybersecurity activity elsewhere. And, this is a really important stage, really important function of cybersecurity, and it can end up neglected, especially, when you see a sort of buzzword chasing or tools first approach, where organizations are like, well, we've heard about this new solution, or maybe we've heard about a new type of attack, and we want to buy the new solution, we want to stop the new attack, or we just want to keep up with the same sort of tool library that our peer organizations acquire or whatever. This can end up sort of in the background, but it's really important. And the reason that it's really important is that without comprehensive visibility into the systems that you're using and the ways that they're exposed, you won't know where your areas of highest risk are. You won't know where your low-hanging security fruit is. Wow, I really embedded that in the I embedded that idiom in the sentence, so it sounds like security is a fruit. You won't know where the low-hanging fruit of cybersecurity is because you won't know, where you're most vulnerable. And the thing about all of that is that attackers are going to figure that out, right? Attackers are going to investigate and identify and understand organizations that they're targeting, especially persistent attackers, and they'll sort of come up throughout this discussion. And they are going to take the path of least resistance. And so identify all of the activities that are covered under identify are really going to address that occasional mismatch between defender and attacker and put the defense in the position to protect the right stuff, to prioritize the right defenses, to understand the right vulnerabilities. Okay, so the next function is protect. You need to have confidence that the stuff in your environment, the systems, every activity are secured and configured properly. And so protect, this is often the area that sort of gets broadly labeled cyber. It's kind of what we think of when we first think of cybersecurity, right? I'm going to implement a firewall that will prevent unauthorized users from accessing my systems. That's a protection tool. I'm going to put in antivirus or advanced antivirus or endpoint protection software. It protects right in there. That's going to prevent malicious code from being run on my devices. That's a protection stage. And so the thing that I would just highlight additionally on top of this, and absolutely vital. We have a lot of tools that do it. We spend a lot of work and effort on it. We also want to not just be able to implement these protection activities. Oh, a more modern example, right? We've rolled out multi-factor authentication, or we've rolled out passwords historically, and now we're rolling out multi-factor authentication. Both of those are protection activities, right? They're going to, in those cases, they're more configurations rather than new code per se. I mean, I guess MFA, blurs that line a little bit, that are going to make it harder for an unauthorized user to access our systems. Passwords and MFA are a great example, and this is going to start to feed into detection. What we want to do is not just protect our systems, but understand that, have visibility into, okay, is this protection in place? Is it working? Is it delivering the expected activities? And that feeds quite naturally into detection, which is the next stage. And this is, I think it would be fair to talk about the current state of cybersecurity, one of the huge trends in cybersecurity as a detection revolution. You see that in a couple years ago in the sort of transition from endpoint protection EPP platforms to endpoint detection response, EDR. And that's, sort of a huge segment that we've seen shift. And it's also a transformation that MDR, XDR vendors like Arctic Wolf are leading and guiding. And the fundamental insight here, and the fundamental insight that NIST is representing as well with this framework, is that protecting a system is not a guarantee that the system will never be breached. It is the opposite of that. It is any system that's an attacker wants to break into, given the time and the resources, any protection tool that's in place will be bypassed. Actually, there's an analogy from the physical world that I love to talk about with this, which is safes, locks on physical safes. Physical safes are rated by the amount of time that it will take a safe cracker to breach them. And there is no safe with an infinity rating. That's just not a thing that exists. It's not a thing that could exist. And it's not clear that it's a thing that should exist because, even sort of leaving aside the philosophical problems, a perfectly secure safe might not be usable in that sense. But the real answer is that, when you're serious about security, you understand that the objective is to prevent the attacker from from achieving the bad outcome, right? And so that means understanding your environment and identification. That means protection. That means installing the right defenses. But you have to watch those defenses for an attacker who's, either being defeated by those defenses or coming up with the ability to circumvent them. And you want to be able to spot that attacker as quickly as possible. And that's true for both commodity threats and advanced attackers. And we're seeing, as the cyber crime, the business of cyber crime continues to develop, we're continuing to see a convergence. Commercial attackers are increasingly sophisticated and using tactics that historically, we had attributed to APTs and talked about sort of nation state and non-financial motivation. We're increasingly seeing sophisticated attackers out there. Once you've detected an incident, once you've been able to raise the alarm, you need to have response capability. You need to be able to respond to these threats and intrusions quickly and efficiently, right? There's in the same way that a protection tool without detection just means that the attackers who bypass your protection will be able to exploit your systems without, without any risk to them, without any ability to stop them. Similarly, if you're able to detect, you need to be able to efficiently respond to the incidents that you're observing. And then you need to be able to recover, right? And you need the experience and capabilities to ensure that you can get back to business and that you can implement the necessary improvements. That's the other thing that happens in the recovery stage, right? The recovery stage includes all of the, we've restored the systems and devices and hardware and everything to known good states, and we've identified which security practices we need to change or enhance or improve. And just to return, now that we've gone through this a little bit more, just to return to what I said, a lot of this is happening on sort of either side of boom, right? Like the incident is kind of happening between protect and detect right there, right? Like we understood our environment and identify, we used in protect, we implemented the right tools to defend that environment. In detect, we identified the attacker who had bypassed those tools. In response, we were able to contain that attacker and prevent them from achieving their objectives or mitigate the damage that they're doing. And in recover, we're responding to the damage that they were able to do in that time. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning here is how each of these functions, there can be a real tendency, as I alluded to neglect some of these in favor of others. But everything that you do to enhance one of these capabilities is going to yield value in another one of these areas. And everything that you're doing, often, okay, this is not a fully generalizable thing, but often one of the most valuable things you can do is identify, which of these areas is lagging in our environment, and by bringing that one up, by making sure that everything's happening to the same standard, and there's a whole other NIST maturity framework, which we won't have time to get into today, that you can use to assess that. That can really change the dynamics of an incident that you might experience much for the better. Wow, okay, let me say that more clearly. By focusing on areas of weakness across these 5 functions, you can dramatically improve the likely outcomes of a cybersecurity incident. Because if one of these areas is lagging, that'll be that low-hanging fruit, that opportunity to enhance your overall security outcomes, most efficiently and at minimal cost. And the thing about what we do at Arctic Wolf and what we help our customers do is that we are an organization designed to provide support across all 5 functions. In Identify, we're providing managed vulnerability, we're providing vulnerability awareness, configuration awareness, we're providing asset oversight and audits. In Protection, we are supporting MFA-controlled access, system patching, hardened device configurations, and awareness training. And I didn't mention this in the previous slide, but another important ingredient of protection of the NIST 5 functions is security awareness training. We hear about that a lot, and a lot of us are doing one thing or another for security awareness training, but it's not necessarily integrated into our overall cybersecurity understanding or framework. With the NIST 5 functions, we can clearly see that's primarily a protection activity. It does also extend into detection. So we provide a bunch of capabilities there. In detection, we are protecting privileged accounts. We're logging and monitoring networks. We're securing endpoints. And detection fundamentally is Arctic Wolf's bread and butter. That's what we are. That's what we're designed as an organization to do. And with response, we're going in, preparing incident response, and in the event of an incident, we are providing guidance on what to do to manage that incident, to prevent the damage that attackers are looking to execute. And we're increasingly adding automatic containment functions or remote containment functions, a bunch of activities around that. And finally, with recovery, we are providing the after-action intelligence and assessment and reporting that will support these recovery activities. And as we'll see in the next slide, with our recent integration with Tetra Defense, we're able to add more and more capabilities in that respond and recovery phase. So how do we do all this? Arctic Wolf, all Arctic Wolf solutions are based on the same underlying technical perspective, which is what we call the security operations cloud. So the first thing that we do is we go into the environment, much as NIST suggests. We go into the environment and we identify all of the systems that have security relevance. That'll include endpoint. That'll include network and cloud and identity sources. That'll include human sources as well, especially in our awareness training environment. We go in, we identify these sources, and we bring them all up into the open XDR architecture of the Arctic Wolf platform. So we are taking the existing security investments and the existing security relevant IT investments, and every organization has these. Often organizations have a lot of them. What we typically see when we're working with an organization is not necessarily a failure to invest historically in security, but maybe challenges in leveraging the security value of systems that have already been implemented. And again, that can include both security tools and capabilities and also the native security functionality of existing IT tools and capabilities, because that's there, right? Cloud was an area of specialty for me for a while, and I can say, very much the case that in cloud environments there are internal IT security tools that come with your platform, but that most organizations aren't making full and effective use of. And so in the Arctic Wolf platform, we then wrap these insights in the concierge delivery model, and we'll talk again about that a little bit more later on, and use that to deliver our core security solutions, security operations solutions. Managed detection and response, managed risk, which focuses on vulnerability awareness and patching, and configuration risks and other sorts of protection stages, and managed security awareness, which focuses on the human dimension. And these individual solutions are themselves enhanced by a range of extensions. So for managed detection and response, we also have a solution that will extend that visibility, that detection response capability into the cloud, which is a really important area for a number of attacks. Attackers are quite aware that everyone's at least partially on the cloud these days, and they're willing to exploit it. Data exploration, which helps our customers have greater visibility into the information that we're collecting and organizing. With managed risk, we see cloud security posture management, again, that cloud extension, the compliance content pack that lives on top of managed security awareness, and most recently, the incident response capabilities, which is adding yet another leg to Arctic Wolf's coverage across the NIST 5 functions. This approach is transformative. It lets us do things that other security organizations aren't able to match. So we're looking at over 2 trillion events per week. We're processing over 2.5 petabytes. We have more than 1 million active agents. We've been working on this for 10 years. We have 60 and growing security stack integrations. We're creating 700,000 tailored reports. And when we move into an environment, our detections are driving the substantial majority of security activity. But the flip side is that this is not driving a huge storm of noise for our customers. This is not driving the alert fatigue that we see with a lot of people who are trying to do the right thing and get a lot of security capabilities in place. Again, we're providing a single view into your security stack. We're providing 3 nines of true positives. And all of this is 1 ticket per day on average. So I just want to skip back to the previous slide, actually. The very beginning of that security operations cloud, this is the entire environment that we're collecting security relevant data from. And from this entire environment, we are extracting 1 ticket per day on average across our customers. So with these security operations solutions, with the information that we're collecting in the cloud, that we're absorbing at scale, and we're turning into these tickets, what is the process in place, right? Because security is not merely a set of technical capabilities, set of technical functions. It's also a process of acting on individual information as it's collected and as it's converted into security actionable insights or observations. So I like to, sort of next move into this question of what is the security operations workflow? And here, the first chunk is in the Arctic Wolf platform. So what we saw in the previous slides with the security operations cloud, what is that doing? Well, we see the universe of telemetry. We're then ingesting it. And we're not just, maybe in the past one, I sort of described it as merely bringing everything into one place. We put it all in the bucket. That's not everything we're doing. We're ingesting the data, and then we're parsing and enriching and analyzing it. So we need to take this data, which is coming in a wide variety of formats from a wide variety of sources. We need to get that into standard formats. We need to enrich it with the security intelligence that's out there. So, the sort of classic concrete example of that is, there's threat feeds that are providing signatures for new forms of code, or new indicators of compromise regularly, and you're able to enrich the data in order to understand what would indicate compromise, and then we're going in and we're performing that analysis. We're looking for anything that might signify a potential compromise, and that could be a wide range of stuff. That could be a login from a suspicious location. That could be code that we know is malicious. That could be merely a suspicious pattern of behavior, like a lot of failed logins followed by a successful one, or the kind of administrator activities that attackers who've compromised an admin account typically undertake. Then we're moving out of the cloud and into that concierge model, into that operational model that helps deliver that greater security. So we're taking the alerts that are raised by that platform, and we're elevating them to the triage team for investigation. And that's, again, a function performed by humans. Those alerts are reviewed, and the ones that signify an incident are escalated. And then we're moving that information into the portal that your IT partner is going to be able to review. They're going to use that portal to interact with the tickets generated by our triage team, and they're going to use that to monitor your overall and ongoing security status. And finally, we have the concierge security team. In the event of an incident, our concierge team is going to work with your IT partner to remediate and recover from the incident, and to provide ongoing support through that security journey. And so that's the final subject that I want to talk about, is the security as a journey rather than a destination. So, the Arctic Wolf security operations workflow sort of moved us through a specific incident, in an MDR case, or perhaps a high priority vulnerability identification in managed risk. But security isn't just about individual activities like that. Instead, it's about an ongoing journey. So our concierge team and your IT partner are working together to provide a constant loop of security enhancement. We are working to discover and prioritize security activities in your environment. We're using security posture in-depth reviews, or SPIDERs, which are specific exercises targeted to security challenges that we observe across the customer base, but customized by the needs of your specific organization. We're focusing in on the challenges that those organizations perceive, and we're providing both a standard security journey framework and detours that are aligned to your particular needs. And this is a continuous loop of activity that goes beyond the response of a particular security incident to provide ongoing cybersecurity enhancements to your organization. And what does that mean? Well, the outcomes for you that Arctic Wolf and your IT partner are able to drive together are, first of all, less cyber risk. We also see that you're seeing increased insurability. You're seeing rapid security value by deploying Arctic Wolf solutions. This is something that starts to happen immediately upon our service being deployed, and that's something that we are able to drive remarkably quickly compared to other organizations in the industry. And all of this is eliminating blind spots. So the ongoing enhancements that we're providing across the NIST framework, the NIST 5 functions, are going to lead to meaningful business outcomes, business cybersecurity outcomes for you and for your organization. And with that, I want to say thank you very much for having me here. I hope that some of what I shared today, some of the insights I was able to share about the 5 functions and how Arctic Wolf is able to help deliver those cybersecurity capabilities are useful to your organization. If you do have any further questions about that, please do reach out to your IT partner, and they'll be able to either address those or connect you to Arctic Wolf team members to have a deeper conversation about these subjects. Thanks again, and I'm really glad I got to join you.